Hey, this is Marc Goldberg from Marc Vlogs Watches, and I am excited to make this video today because I have incoming. As you know from the title, I have a Sky Dweller in two-tone with a white face coming in, and I have been feeding a Sky Dweller ever since the gold version came out, which is quite a while ago, several years. And then they came out with the Toon Tone, and then they came out with the steel. Now, we'll talk a whole lot more about the Sky Dweller when I unbox it and then ultimately do a full review on it. But before we do any of that, let's go ahead and do a quick wristwatch check. And here we have a Seiko Monster. From the sublime to the ridiculous. But I love this watch and it's a lot of fun. Also, I have a watch which I am going to be selling to partially fund what I have purchased. So the Sky Dweller is due in tomorrow, and I will be selling my 16613, which is my two-tone bluesy Rolex Submariner. So let's take a look at what's going out, and then real quick we'll take a look at what's coming in. Now, in a moment, I will go ahead and show you some live video of this watch, but I'm showing you this photograph because I don't have great studio lights and I want you to get a sense of the color. The color of this watch is very brilliant. This is the 16613 Rolex Submariner with the blue dial and the blue aluminum bezel. Everything is original, and it really pops. The color just completely pops. Now, the price of these has shot up a little bit since the steel shortage in the last couple of years, but I am going to price this one at $7,725, which is a bit cheaper than really I have seen it anywhere else. So take a good look at this. The color is excellent, brilliant. Everything is sharp on this watch, and patina is slowly starting to develop. These guys sometimes turn purple, and if you get this one in just the right light, you can begin to see the very first tiny hue of purple. So I think given a little bit more time, this guy might go purple. Not really sure, but the date window is also developing patina. At any rate, it has a bit of lume that is still left and active, and wow, what a beautiful Submariner this is. I've really enjoyed it, but time to make room for a Sky Dweller, guys. So we have the two-tone bluesy 16613 here. It's got light signs of wear, but I am going to buff lightly so these little scratchies are out and any little scuff on the steel buckle will be cleaned up. It's a sharp watch. I am not entirely sure if it has ever been polished, but if it has definitely not been over polished. The pins do not protrude through the hole's case. Hole's case is nice because you can quickly get in there, take off the bracelet and put it on a rubber B strap or a strap if you'd like. And we still have sharpness here and points here. So if this was ever polished, it was done by somebody talented like the Rolex Service Center, and if ever at all, even, it would have only been once. Like you can just tell it's still sharp. You've got micro adjustments here. There is not a lot of stretch to this bracelet. A little hard to tell with the camera angle that I have, but there, you get the idea there. A smidge, but not a whole lot. There were always gaps here for perspiration and hair. Yeah, this is just a lovely piece. Let me go ahead and get it on wrist. It has a dive extension also, as these guys will. And there you're having a look at the two-tone bluesy. I think I'll move the camera here, get a better look at it. I think the reason I never really wore this watch, for me, it's been a safe queen. Oh, and that's another thing. Even though she's got some age on her, she has been pampered. This baby has been living in the spa for watches, which is to say the bank vault. So she has not gotten a lot of wear, and she's kind of been pampered. I think that somebody should buy this watch who's going to give it some wear, because it's a handsome thing. Once I went on a cruise, because we were nautical, I took it. But she has hardly been out of the safe. Okay, now you've had your look. Well, thanks for bearing with me, guys, through that part. I know it was kind of a commercial, but I wanted to give you a look around a sort of a vintage two-tone 16613 Submariner anyway, so that was my chance. I should probably give it a full review before it goes out the door to its new home. Anyway, look, couple pieces of housekeeping before we move into the Sky Dweller. First, thank you for being with me. I would ask you to subscribe if you haven't already done that. Hit the little bell icon. Liking this video this month only is free, so go ahead and do that for me. I sure appreciate it. It lets me know that I'm not all alone, that we're doing this journey together. So thank you so much for that. Now let's take a look at the precise and exact Sky Dweller that I have purchased, and I'll tell you the story. It's story time, kids. Well, if you are as crazy as me, and I'm pretty sure you are, or you wouldn't be sitting through this video, you're the kind of person who gets your USPS tracking and then checks it about every 10 minutes. And of course, that's what I've been doing. Now, you notice that I scratched out the tracking number because, quite frankly, some of you people are crazy and I don't want you showing up on my doorstep. But I am excited. I will be looking out my doorstep. Oh, and that's the other thing. You know, nobody wants to get that dreaded, "we tried." You know that note, which is where they basically kind of look at your house and then throw the note on your lawn and leave. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out for this watch, and I will not be leaving the front door. Probably all day tomorrow, I'll camp out on the front step with a boxed lunch and a beer. Well, I made my purchase on eBay, and as you can see here, it is a full set. We'll take a closer look at the watch in just a second, but my price, I paid $14,000 for a watch that retails at $17,150. This is one of the lowest prices that this particular watch has ever been sold on in eBay. I know that because I checked past sales. Now, the seller and I have been corresponding. What a super nice guy. What happened to him is he's a collector, just like most of us, and he was able to get a steel Sky Dweller instead. So in a little bit, of course, we'll talk about the difference between the two-tone and the steel. Actually, let me just knock that point out right now. Weirdly, the steel version of this watch is harder to come by and more expensive than the two-tone. Very much like in the Daytona, where a steel Daytona is actually more expensive and harder to get than a two-tone, and that holds true also in the Sky Dweller. Needless to say, I'm talking about the aftermarket prices here because the steel version is slightly less expensive, maybe $3,000 less expensive at the authorized dealer. The problem is you can't get either the two-tone or the steel version in the authorized dealer. They're just never there. Occasionally they do have a gold one, however, and those price up to $50,000. Now, if you're not familiar with the functions of the Sky Dweller, I will briefly tell you about that now, but not to worry. Ideally, I say, because you never know, but ideally I will catch the mailman tomorrow and get this watch and film an unboxing and then ultimately do a full review and where we'll go through it very thoroughly. But what the Sky Dweller is it's Rolex's annual calendar. It's the most complex Rolex made, even though it looks quite simple. Has 400 moving parts or so in the movement. The most noticeable feature to the eye is that offset 24-hour ring. It's a GMT ring that allows you to track either home time in 24-hour or military time, or it also functions as a GMT time if you want to track a second time zone. Then the hour hand and the minute hand and the second hand track your local time wherever you are. And this is a thing that you may not notice unless you look very closely, but the month is indicated by a little red dot right above the hour of the day, where there is an inset little cutout for the red dot. So when the red dot is over the 12, that means it's December. When it's over the 1, it means it's January, etc. Look closely and you will notice the red dot there above the 1 o'clock position, and that means this watch at the current moment is set for the month of January, and then you would read the date in the date window under the Cyclops. Well, it's a used watch that I've purchased here, so no surprise. There are some wear marks, particularly on the buckle and on the center gold links. Those tend to attract scratchies, but I'm not worried about that. There's no deep gouges or anything, so I will show them to you when I get the watch, and I'll make a video with the Cape Cod cloth showing you how I will clean those up. Here is another view of the buckle, and you can see that the scratches are not deep. It's always good to look at a second view of a watch when you're not handling it in person, because sometimes just the way things catch the light, it might look awful, but as this picture pulls out, you'll see that the bracelet is in good condition, so I'm not worried about these little scratchies. I'm pretty excited about this watch, guys. Well, I would like to thank you for coming down this rabbit hole with me, this horological rabbit hole. I have been fiending a Sky Dweller for quite a long time, but I just couldn't see paying for the gold one, either at the authorized dealer in the $45,000 to $50,000 range, or even a gold one on the used market. It's sort of like wearing, as the pontiff says, a stick of butter or chocolate on your wrist. I just think that a solid gold Rolex is too prone to scratch. The watch is almost 15 millimeters thick. It's not giant, but it's a substantial watch, and I'm prone to banging things. And I'm also not a guy who dresses up a whole lot, so I wouldn't really have cause to constantly put on my giant gold dress watch. So that's my thinking, was really to obtain a steel one. But the steel ones have big premiums on them if you get the blue dial. The white dial and the black dial are coming down a little bit. There's still premiums on them, but they're not as much. The blue dial, gosh, you're going to pay $21,000 for the blue dial in the aftermarket, even though it retails for $14,000. But good luck. You're never going to find one for $14,000 because the authorized dealer has got a shortage of steel Rolexes, guys. And the two-tone is substantially less. In this case, I got it for 14G. So that's kind of was my thinking. Also, I think it's very important, at least for me, when I buy a really expensive watch, and I urge you to do the same thing, is I want to buy a watch at a price where if I decide I need to dump out of it or I want to flip out of it, I'm not going to get hurt or hurt badly. And that has everything to do with what brand you buy and what price you pay. So Rolex is a very solid brand. Generally speaking, they are easy to sell, but Rolex buyers aren't stupid. They don't want to pay more to get a particular watch than they have to. So if I have to sell the Sky Dweller for whatever reason, even though it's not the most popular iteration of Sky Dweller, I'll be able to get my money out of it because I bought it well. I have to say, out of all the two-tone versions, there's a champagne, there's a black dial, and then there's this white dial. The white dial is the one that I liked the most. Also, the lume, it's surprisingly loomy. Tell you, I appreciate your being with me. And yeah, there's going to be an unboxing soon. And also, in the next couple of days, keep an eye out for the full video on this guy right here, but she's going to go to a new home. The Rolex Bluesy 16613. And, Sky Dweller, tomorrow. It's new watch day. I'm not sure I'm going to sleep. Thanks for being with me, guys. Goldberg, peace out.